we're still going to Biden it up.
More Biden.
So, I wish we actually had graphics. Boom.
I know. You're gonna do it. We'll get that in the future.
Maybe someday.
But hey, guys, when we have a budget in the studio, we will do graphics.
So this is from NBC. I vomited in my mouth. Just
Bastion of wonderful journalism.
Yes. So if it's Biden versus Bernie, buckle up. So this is written by, I know, dude, it's what the title says right there, guys. All right, so this is written by good old Chuck Todd, Mark Murray, and Kerry Dan. The article starts off like this. They're both white men in their mid to late 70s, and they're both current former creatures of the United States Senate. Such an odd sentence to even say this, but there's some interesting tidbits of gold that should be taken out of this nonetheless. So in addition to the not so subtle shot that Sanders' campaign took at Biden's high roller fundraiser last night, which I severely doubt. Look, he's getting corporate money, $6.3 million. He's still not outperforming Bernie Sanders, okay? He's in the lead in regards to fundraising from grassroots individuals and individual donors. So here they talk about their differences. Healthcare, Sanders is for the single-payer system, while Biden will work to protect and strengthen Romney care. I mean, oof. Obamacare. Sorry, folks. Sorry. You know, I had that problem earlier today too. I kept saying Romney care. Yeah. Romney care. Why?
I'm not sure how it happened, but I couldn't hear a difference.
Okay, you couldn't hear a difference?
I didn't notice it.
Because there isn't one.
There isn't one? Okay.
No difference.
Okay, well, we'll let you guys, our viewers, decide.
You be the judge.
All right, Sanders opposed a TPP trade agreement. Biden backed it as Barack Obama's vice president. That's the one thing I forgot to mention. Yeah, good old TPP. Let's see. And their vision for 2020, Sanders is once again calling for a political revolution, and Biden is running on political restoration. Wow, that is fantastic.
Does that mean something? I'm not sure that means anything.
It doesn't mean anything at all. What it means is he wants to recreate the same neoliberal system before Trump got in and ruined everything. But that's how we got Trump in the first place. And remember, 46.9% of the U.S. population chose not to vote during election night, either because, one, voting rights stopped them from participating, or two, a lot of people didn't like Clinton or Trump. And remember, just because Clinton won the popular vote, that's fantastic, that's great, that's nice. But we live in the United States, and you want what supersedes the popular vote? The Electoral College. So live in America and come to reality. Until we get rid of the Electoral College, I don't want to hear this crap about popular vote. It doesn't matter. Until we get rid of the Electoral College, that's when
we should prioritize.
Which we should prioritize. But, you know, there's a lot of problems with Biden because right now he's getting a lot of endorsements from Senator Tom Caper, Bob Casey, Doug Jones, Lisa Blunt Rothschild, Representative Brendan Boyle, Matt Cartwright, Tom Susie? Yes. Whatever. Susie. But the one thing one endorsement that he's not getting is Representative Don Beyer. And he's backing up Pete Buttigieg, and the reason why Beyer is apparently notable is because he endorsed Barack Obama in early 2008. DCK Punk. Romney care, all I heard was L'Oreal, but my girlfriend heard Yanny.
Oh, Laurel and Yanny.
Laurel and Yanny.
Is the healthcare a blue or white dress?
Oh my God, that is funny.
Minute,
okay,
good.
sorry, I was just brain fart because I'm about to go off on another thing about Biden. DCK Punk, thank you so much. And Hank Kershaw, whether it's Hillary or Trump or Biden, does it matter if person in charge is going to have the pedal to the metal driving the U.S. war machine?
Not if you're on the receiving end of those drone strikes and you happen to be a kid. And again, I'll say again, we don't care. Republicans don't care when pregnant women get blown up, but they do care if they,
So
not going to get into it.
So this article is basically a hodgepodge of other stories, but there's one thing that they did bring up. It's about 28 years. That's the time that's passed between the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings, for which good old sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe served as the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and has reported a repentant phone call a few weeks ago to Anita Hill, who accused Thomas of sexual harassment. But as the New York Times reports, the call didn't go as hoped. This is what Hill told the Times. I cannot be satisfied by simply saying, I'm sorry for what happened to you. I will be satisfied when I know there is real change and real accountability and real purpose. She also didn't call Biden's phone call an apology, although she doesn't see Biden's conduct during the hearings as totally disqualifying. She said that she can't support him until he further addresses his treatment of her and of other cooperating witnesses who were never called to testify in the confirmation fight. So look, here's what I got to say about Uncle Joe. Sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe in the race. There we go.
Oh, it's coming back.
There it is. There we go. There we go.
This is a good time. I'll give it to you. Thanks for not throwing it all over.
No, yeah, because I don't want to clean up the mess. So look, guys, here's my comments on sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe, and that's what I'm going to call him because he's a creep. He's out of touch, and
he's tired.
And, yeah, he's tired. And basically, remember that he was forced into this race. It isn't as he woke up one day and said, I gotta save America's soul. That's what he's going to do. No, corporate media kept pushing and saying his name. They were doing that during 2016 and they were doing it now, and they were really pushing it because they were all seeing Beto O'Rourke fail. Buttigieg starting to fall. Kamala Harris isn't sticking, and same thing for Cory Booker. So they went for the next best hope, something to bring back the old days of Obama, and that was Biden. They kept pushing for a Biden. The establishment Democrats kept pushing for a Biden. The corporate donors kept pushing for Biden. And now that he's out, now it's done, it's like, oh, he's in the race now too. He's mediocre at best. Hank Kershaw, Bernie or Tulsi, or I am voting Green Party. You know what? I'm going to comment on that because here's the thing. I was the same way for 2016. Yeah. We were in Philly during the 2016 convention, and the way I saw how Bernie Sanders supporters and Green Party supporters were being treated by the Clinton supporters and delegates.
It was the same exact when Trump's supporters were at the UIC pavilion. I couldn't tell the difference.
And I, in good conscience, me personally, I'm only speaking for myself. Not Harlan's Media, not Paul, or not Daniel, but...
You can speak for me on this one, I shared.
Okay, all right, no problem. I did not recognize Secretary Hillary Clinton as a legitimate nominee. There are too many incidences of election fraud, voter machine being tampered. I didn't recognize her. I questioned every single win. It just didn't add up, and it was quite clear that there was election fraud. So I decided to vote Green Party. I voted for Dr. Jill Stein, and I don't regret it. And if the DNC pulls the same trick again, look, the depressing fact about 2016 is this. Trump was more democratically elected in his primary than Clinton was. And until there's an investigation to what happened in 2016, I don't want to hear crap about Russiagate. And the same thing for Biden. He's the exact same kind of representation that Secretary Hillary Clinton was. They're both part of the neoliberal system. They're part of the neoliberal establishment. And they are afraid of somebody like Senator Bernie Sanders or Representative Tulsi Gabbard. They're afraid of them, and they'll do whatever it takes to smear them. But when I look at Biden, all I can think is he's very tired. He was pushed into this fight. And I don't believe him when he says he cares about the soul of this country, because he's never apologized for his comments on busing. He never apologized for his treatment for Anita Hill. He never apologized for his treatment of his statements he said about millennials. And not to mention, let's look at the Obama years again. I already talked about it early on in the show, but really look back at Barack Obama's 8 years of presidency. Was Obama more well-spoken than Trump? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean he didn't make his own fair share of mistakes and create a system that's so corrupt and inept, they handed it over to President Donald Trump. Paul.
So for as obvious as it is to us, and I think to many Americans, why Biden is a terrible choice to be the Democratic Party's nominee, for all of the baggage that he has, for all of why he's terrible, do not underestimate his chances at this race. He has institutional support out the wazoo. He's been polling really, really well for months, even well before he announced his candidacy. And this is something, Jerome and I were talking about this on the train over here. For whatever reason, when we go to the movies, we love to root for the underdog, right? We love it when the underdog wins. For some reason, when it comes to, say, watching sports on TV or watching a political race, people somehow want to be behind the winner. And so when you have polls that come out with dubious methodologies that oversample older Americans, that oversample wealthy Americans, people start seeing, oh, this Biden guy has a lot of support. People will get on that bandwagon because they want to vote for the person who wins.
Yeah.
Right? It's very strange that we love the underdog to win in our movies, but we won't evaluate a candidate, or a lot of people won't evaluate a candidate based on how they will govern or who they think the best candidate is. A lot of people will vote for the person who they think is going to win. And the institutional support that Biden has is going to represent him as the front runner over and over and over and over again. Do not underestimate that particular political tactic.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, that is very, because here's the thing. Kamala, Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, and Cory Booker, they're not, maybe out of all of them, Kamala Harris is starting to gain some more attention. But the thing is, Biden is the one that's really has the name recognition. And they're going to try with one of these 5 individuals, one of these 5 platitude Democrats. And, you know, we cannot underestimate them. So everyone who's watching this, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, I don't care what your political ideology is, just keep an open eye out for the election fraud. You'll see it. They're going to try and do it again. They will do it again.
It's coming.
And it's going to happen. So, Daniel, go ahead.
So, really, again, just like in 2016, only where I think, again, we're better situated. And this, again, that goes back to my optimism. It's like, it's less of that I think it's like, oh, it's going to be easy now. It's like, this is the best chance we've had thus far. Mm-hmm. That it's up to you guys to make sure people know what's wrong with these candidates. Because if you have friends that all they do is watch mainstream media, show us these videos. Yeah. Show them what's going on. Tell them what's happening, because if all they're doing if they're stuck in that system and that's where they stay, that's all they're going to know. So it's up to us here sitting telling you these stories, and up to you guys to tell people show them our videos, show them other channels' videos. It doesn't really matter as long as they understand what's actually happening.
So here's another thing. I want to shout out to Hank Kershaw before we move on to our final story. The deep state's wet dream in 2016 was to have a neocon like Rubio or Jeb versus the neocon Hillary in 2020. And in 2020, they want neocon Trump versus neocon Biden.
Please clap.
Yeah, please clap. You know, here's the problem. I could see that happening, and this is where we all need to get up, get involved, and participate during this political process. And more importantly, look, I know this is a progressive outlet, but we too have covered and talked to individuals who are with the Green Party, DSA, Socialist Alternative, and even the Libertarian Party. Mm-hmm. We have to get out of our bubbles, out of our little pools, and talk to other people and talk and actually get in conversations and actually look. Are you going to win everyone over? No, probably not. But this election is going to be important. And Bernie Sanders is the one with the name recognition, infrastructure, and the ability to actually bring in real change. Now, is it going to solve everything? I don't know. Maybe. But it's worth a shot. I just don't want to take a risk for another neoliberal 4 years of Biden or have another 4 years of Trump. Because if you run with Biden, guess what? It's going to be 50-50 all over again. Whoever's going to turn out to vote. But Biden does not excite me to vote. Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, and Beto O'Rourke, they're not exciting. I don't believe them when they talk about progressive policies. They're neoliberal to the core. And one other note, too. And I think we need to remember this. When we look at this system that we have to really have ourselves participate. Because if we don't participate now, Biden or Trump or whoever's just going to let the system keep on running the same over and over again. And I remember getting arguments with people in 2016 as the general election was ending. And I was saying, everyone, it's going to be 50-50. Either Trump's going to win or Clinton's going to win. But don't be surprised if Trump wins. And everyone was so angry with me. And I was like, no, it's not because I'm saying that she can't do it. Just be prepared. The system is changing and people are upset.
It's almost like we keep being right.
Yeah,
you know.
I think we've. There's no. I mean, we definitely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble.
Our record is at least 3 times as good as the average MSN guess or a prediction on something. But here's what I want to say on this. When I say it really comes down to you. So if we just go with some basic numbers, just to make it super easy. Again, go with that 1 million man army that Bernie people have said they're going to volunteer for Bernie. Let's just take it as 1 million people. In a Democratic primary, about 40 million people vote, give or take. So you need, if you're in that 1 million person army, you need to convince 40 people. So you can look at, okay, where do you go? Is it useful to convert Democrats? Yeah, I mean, if they don't agree, but if there's someone that's going to vote for Kamala, there's a decent chance that they might not want to flip to Bernie. But you know who there are a lot of people out there? independents and people that don't vote at all, people that aren't in politics at all. And right now, if every person watching this right now is able to, over the next year and a half, find 20 people that you don't know, that are independents or don't vote, and get them to vote for Bernie Sanders on primary day, if enough people do that, it'll be a landslide so big and that they wouldn't be able to do anything about. And that's
hold on, wait. More importantly, each of you should also understand your state laws, your county laws, and your city laws in regards to voting. Now's the time to get schooled up. It's probably going to be very boring and brain draining, but learn them now.
Yeah. Some states you have to register as a Democrat to vote in the Democratic primary. Some states you can only vote in one of the two primaries, but it doesn't matter how you're registered. Find out in your state how it works.
Yeah, and so once you figure that out, you as one person, if you can get 20 or 30 people to vote, make it a pizza. If it's their first time voting, say, okay, after we vote, and you convince them, like Bernie Sanders is the guy, or whoever your guy is.
Throw a party
afterwards. I mean, when we did Wolfpack, a lot of what we did was we would, get politicians, we would help them out, get their petitions and get them elected. They would then return the favor and vote for our legislation. And then we had a pizza party to celebrate. It was a really fun mix of things to do. It takes a lot of the monotony out for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And again, in a lot of states, especially in the battleground states, but for the primary, every state, especially in primaries where fewer people come out to vote, every vote matters to an enormous degree.
Every vote is worth its
even in
weight in
Chicago,
gold.
the aldermanic races that we just covered, there were like 5 races that had like 30 votes determined who won.
Yeah.
So if you do that, and then someone else does that, and then 1 million people do that, that's how we make this. That's how we forge a reality that doesn't exist into reality, and that's what we have the ability to do.
Absolutely. So, final note. Be ready for this election cycle, and Hardlands Media is going to be ready for it too.